Sandy here, and welcome back to the Crafty Maven Getaway. Today's video is going to be featuring our theme of the month, which is stamps, and I'm also going to be sketching it today. So I have the Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine. It is from the summer of 2018, and if you head back down to page 30, you see this awesome sketch right here. I'm going to go ahead and use this sketch and adjust it a little bit to make it work for me. And I also am going to be using a few of my stamps. I have this little turkey guy from Brutus Monroe. I also have a background stamp from Brutus Monroe. And I have two close to my heart stamps. So let's see what I can do. So the first thing I did was pull out some watercolor paper, and the watercolor paper is from Fabriano. I honestly have no idea if it's cold press, hot press, smushy press, whatever it is, I just don't know. All I do know is that it works better than the El Cheapo watercolor paper I had bought from Michaels. And probably if I do a little bit more research, I bet you I would have even better results if I really did the research on the watercolor paper. So I just cut it down to a manageable size and shoved it in my Tim Holtz tonic stamp press. Now I have the regular size, I have the mini, and I also have a normal size Misty. And I love them all. They work like great for different things. They live on a shelf next to me, and it's kind of whichever one I reach for and my hands grab first is the one I pull out that day. Right now what I'm doing is taking some black Stays On ink, and I'm just making sure that I press down firmly. And then the great thing about a stamp platform is, see how my image here really didn't get a great impression. Because I'm using that stamp platform, I can just put more ink on my stamps and bring it down and press it down. And then I still don't have a perfect ink. And that is for two reasons. My Stays On ink pad is getting a little dry, and also I wasn't putting pressure exactly where I needed to go. So I went ahead and did that. Then I just flipped it around and did the same thing. Now these are liquid watercolors, and they are from Tailored Expressions. And I'm not really watercoloring with an artist's eye. I'm kind of just watercoloring to color. And that's all I'm doing. So I'm just taking these colors, and I have some red, some yellow, some orange, some green, some blue, and a little bit of purple. And the purple is because I want a little pop and a little punch on the little funny thing where the turkey is saying eat ham. And that's funny because I have ham on my plate. So just wanted to do that. I'm filling out the little berries with the little red here. Now I could have had you guys watch me do all of that, but I did not. So you're welcome. So I colored all of those in, and then I used the coordinating dies and I cut them out. And now I'm pulling out that other stamp, and I'm going to do some background stamping with this Brutus Monroe stamp here. And this is a new to me ink. It's a Ann Butler ink, and it really is, it's a pain. I mean, I'm not going to lie. The ink pad is a pain to use. So I'm kind of smushing it down on my background stamp. And as you'll notice, my background stamp is not on an acrylic block, and it's also not in my stamp platform. And I did that because sometimes the backer paper on background stamps are a pain to pull off, and I just didn't want to do it. So I put the background stamp down, and I'm just using my roller to apply pressure on that background stamp and get it to give me an image. Now this is kind of a messy background stamp, like it's like brush stroked and all that kind of good stuff. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Now if this was like a background stamp that had a design on it, I would make sure that my inking was perfect on it. But like I said, it's a background stamp that's kind of a messy background stamp. Like, that's the point of it. And I'm just showing you it right there. And then I took stamps from Close to My Heart and put them on a block. And I'm putting Versamark ink. It's just like a sticky ink all over the block here. And I'm going to go ahead and use an anti-static powder tool, and I'm going to just go ahead and drop that all over my page because I'm going to emboss, and I don't want my embossing powder to stick where I don't want it to stick. So I'm taking this guy, and he's going off the page. So I have that all pressed down, and I'm going to do him a couple more times across the page. And sorry, my fingers are very powdery right now from that anti-static powder tool. I did not go wash my hands in the meantime. So I'm just going to plop some more of that Versamark ink down, kind of line it up, and press it down. So in the sketch that I'm using, it does have a line in the background, this horizontal line in the background. And I thought instead of using paper, since I'm working with stamps and that's what, our focus is this month, I'm just going to stamp as much as I can. So I went ahead and stamped it the third time. So I'm super happy with this. You can see the Versamark ink. Now I'm going to go ahead and drop down my Brutus Monroe embossing powder. And guys, if you haven't used Brutus Monroe embossing powder, you need to get yourself some and play with it because, oh my word, it's amazing. Like, seriously, it's amazing. So I'm just going to get the rest of my embossing powder all over my image here. I mean, look at that. It just sticks so beautifully. So dump that back into the pot. And I think I'm going to show you the color. It's called Golden Gourd. And now I am embossing it. Now, I love embossing. It is so fun to me. I love just heating up the embossing gun and like watching it go from a powdery mess to this shiny, smooth, melty goodness. Like, it just makes me happy to watch it. Like, I'm just sitting here enjoying watching this. Even though it's sped up a little bit, like, I'm just enjoying watching the powder turn. And then I'm just putting my heat gun over all of it just one more time to make sure it is all smooth and melty. I mean, look at that. Look at that. I love it so hard. Okay. So now, as you can see, I colored my little turkey and made his little sign purple. And then I thought, you know what? I want to matte this. I've got all this craft going on here in the background, and I've got some stark white things that I'm going to be putting on top. I have this turkey that's on a white circle die cut, and I also have all my leaves, and they are on the white watercolor paper, so I'm like, I need to add some white. Now, this is a printed sheet of paper. It is from a very old Karen Foster design, and I was like, oops. Now this, look at this. My ATG decides to eat itself, and I don't know why I left this in here. I'm not sure why I didn't cut this out, but there it is. And then there we go. I just grabbed the red one. The pink one let me down, so I grabbed the red one. Trimming that off a little bit because it was just a little bit extra up at the top. Now this is a Lawn Fawn stamp chamois. I use it to clean my stamps, but there was still some anti-static powder tool, so I just wiped it down. Now I was originally going to use both of these pictures because the sketch has 2 photos in it, but I decided not to do that. I decided that one photo would be enough. And I'm flipping through the Simple Stories 6x8 paper pad. I believe it's Vintage Blessings. I'm just trying to figure out what papers will go the best. So at first I was going to use this polka dot, but I'm not really feeling it. So I'm flipping through to see what other one I could use. And I decide to go with the same color. It's the same pink color, but it's in a doily form. So I went ahead and did that. And now I'm bringing like the white that is on the front and the foreground of this page, you can definitely, like, it's all tied together with that white edge on the background. So I cut apart the 6x8 paper because even though it is 6x8, it's still not long enough for me. So I go ahead and trim that down and adhere it. Now, as you can see, I've got this gap, and I covered up a lot of that lovely embossing. Like, I realized that that happened, and I'm okay with it. You can see plenty of it, and it was not the focus of the layout. It's more like the background, so I'm okay with it being covered. Like, it doesn't bother me. But if it does bother you and you like that look, I mean, be sure to make sure that it's predominant and out there. I mean, I could have done less paper layers and it would have been fine. But like I said, I like it. So I'm taking these little leaf stamps or cutout images from the stamps, and I decided to bring in some color on this background area by covering up the same stamped leaf with the colored ones. And again, I'm covering up more of the embossing, but like I said, I'm okay with it. I really like the finished look of this layout. I've got the white throughout. I've got like that little touch of shiny gold. It's definitely feeling very Thanksgiving-y to me. I got that pop of purple up there where there's no purple anywhere else. So your eye really gets drawn to that. And like I said, I'm okay with that. Sometimes I think it's totally okay if you're scrapbooking a layout to just put something unexpected there, especially if you really want to draw attention to it. Like I said, there's absolutely no purple anywhere on this layout, anywhere on this page. I don't even think there's purple in the photograph. And that little teeny tiny bit of purple works great. So over here on the left, I'm building up my little stamped and die cut images that I watercolored. So all of those leaves have been watercolored with my liquid watercolors. And now I'm just trying to build up something as well over by the turkey, because I want you to see the turkey. I want your attention to be drawn to the turkey. I want you to see the Eat Ham banner, but I don't want that to be up there by itself, like Turkey Guy's floating all by himself up there in the sky. Not really what I want to happen. So I'm building up, just like I did in this lower corner down here, I'm building up this right corner bit. I'm tucking things under and popping it up on foam squares. So, really love popping things up on foam squares. It just gives it a little bit of dimension, and it's not such a thick foam where it's like, whoa, popping up off your page, kind of 3D pop-up book look. It's just a little bit, just gives it a little shadow. So that makes me happy. And then I've got to figure out what's going on down here. So I know that there's going to be some sort of title, some sort of word going on down here. And in the sketch, there is some string and a bow tie. But I decided not to do string. I decided to grab some ribbon. And this is like a khaki colored ribbon with some gold on it. And if you've watched any of my recent layouts on my YouTube channel, you'll know that I have a tough time remembering craft cardstock when it comes down to it. I always want to say khaki cardstock. So if that could be a thing, that would be awesome, because then I wouldn't be sitting there going, oh, what is that cardstock called? Oh, what is that color? And I know it starts with a K, but for some reason, sometimes my mind just blanks and I can't see it. So I'm down here. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I'm thinking, do I want to stamp some more? Is this label big enough? No, it's not. I mean, look at it. That label is not big enough for this entire thing down here. It's just not. But I'm thinking, I really like what's going on up at the top. I have a lot going on up at the top with the turkey, so I feel like I need something with substance down here at the bottom. Like I said, I want your attention on that turkey. I want you to see that turkey. I want you to to boom, in your face, here's the turkey saying eat ham. But I also want, you know, it to be part of the layout and not just a boom in your face, here's a turkey. So I'm finding some labels. So I have a whole section just for labels in one of my carts because I love labels so much. And I'm just pulling out the colors that are going to work and figuring out where my letters are going to go. And these letters are some older jelly bean soup letters, and they're kind of a burlappy look. And I'm just building the whole like title block. Man, title blocks. You guys remember title blocks? Everything was a title block, a journaling card, and then we got crazy and just started putting our titles down on the layout without actually making a block. And we started just writing straight on the layout with actually putting it on a journaling card. Like, whoa, like things really happened. I've been scrapbooking a long time, so I remember all those things. Like, you were a rebel when you started to do that stuff. Okay, so here we go. I'm building it up right on top of the label sticker. I haven't even pulled that large label off of the backing yet. And then I figured, you know what? I'm using jelly bean chipboard stickers. I might as well use some jelly bean soup tiny letters as well. So the title of this is Ready and Food. I use a lot of titles that might not make sense to some people, but it does to us in our family. So just had to add that exclamation point for the food to really make it work. And when I was adjusting it, I pulled the sticky off of the exclamation point and it did not stick. So bummer to that. Had to add a little bit of liquid adhesive. So I'm just figuring out where this should go. And once I figure that out, I'm going to go ahead and slap it down there. Here's my liquid adhesive. It's just a little bit of Lawn Fawn. And I believe that is going to do it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to leave me a comment below if you have enjoyed this video or if you've used stamps recently. I'd love to chat with you. All right, thanks so much, guys. Bye.